Hi everyone, this is Ekaterina and today we'll be talking about psychodynamic approach, which is a therapy model developed by Austrian neurologist Sigmund Freud. As with the previous videos, like with the person-centered therapy by Carl Rogers or cognitive behavior therapy or CBT, I wanted to first summarize the key idea behind this model as well. And according to Freud, our thoughts, our feelings, and most importantly, our behavior is motivated by our unconscious mind and is also influenced by our childhood experiences. So for some of us, maybe it's hard to first to understand what exactly is meant by unconscious mind. Well, Freud believed that our whole mental activity can be split into three levels. And the easiest way to think of it would be to imagine an iceberg. So there's always a part of the iceberg that is above the sea level. This is something we can actually see. This is the part that's been seen in Titanic a bit too late. And this represents our conscious mind. So this is where we have our active thinking happening, and it also has everything that we're perceiving at this moment. The things I see, the things I hear, the things I smell. So as I'm recording this video, I am using my conscious mind. Then just below the conscious mind, we have the preconscious area or preconscious mind. And this is the part of the iceberg that can be under the water, but sometimes comes just above so we can see it, as the iceberg can move up and down a little bit. And this part of the mind keeps our readily accessible memories. So for example, if you were to be asked, when is your friend's birthday? You would probably be able to recall that, it's March the 13th or something like that. Now, doesn't mean that you were always thinking about your friend's birthday until you were asked that question, but once you've been asked, you could recall that information, take it and use it in your already conscious mind. And then below the sea water, there's a part of the iceberg that we will probably never see unless we do some scuba diving. And this is the part that is representing the subconscious mind, the unconsciousness that we are not aware of. And this part generally, according to Freud, contains all our hardest, most painful memories. It has our fears, it has our suppressed feelings. Because sometimes when we face a particularly difficult event, our body almost turns on the defense mechanism, and instead of us really processing that event, it kind of denies it and stores it and hides it in that, locked room. So for that reason, some people who go through very traumatic accidents, they later on cannot recall what has happened because their mind almost switches off to protect the person with that overload of emotions. So even though they are stored in our conscious mind, Freud still believed that they had a very big influence in our behavior and how we were feeling and thinking. And as the person cannot easily access that unconscious mind, this is why this therapy was developed, and this is why the counselor or therapist has a very special role in this approach if we compare it to the other two I've covered in the previous videos. So in fact, what happens here is that the counselor or the therapists who are doing the psychodynamic therapy, they need to go through a very in-depth training in order to really fully learn this framework of therapy. And during their sessions with the client, the therapist definitely needs to play the role of the expert. And what they will do is listen to the client. They will try to really establish a good relationship with the client so that the person feels comfortable talking about their feelings, about their emotions, about different things in the past they could remember, their childhood experiences. And as the therapist will be mostly listening, once in a while they will have to almost intervene and maybe try to interpret what the client is saying. And by this communication, slowly, the therapist is helping the client to access some parts of their maybe unconscious mind or memories that they have forgotten, so that in this more safe environment, when they're in this room as opposed to maybe in that particular situation they have forgotten, they can reprocess that event, no longer hide that, really understand what has happened, and at the same time kind of let it go, maybe if it's possible, or learn new ways of thinking by being more aware of what's been affecting their behavior up till now. So there's still a learning part whereby the client will have to learn new ways of maybe behaving, but it's important to remember that this process might be also a bit painful and even harmful to the client, because you are trying to get to your unconscious mind to do things that your body thought would be better to forget and not to think about. So for some people this can be a bit painful, but in the end, as you resolve those kind of things that your mind has hidden, ignored, you will also get some, I would say, peace of mind and better of understanding of why you're behaving in a particular way or why you're feeling in a particular way. Now, again, as you can see here, a very high level of expertise expected from the therapist of the counselor who is doing this therapy. But at the same time, I would say it is important also for the client to have a genuine interest in self-discovery and understanding their own behavior. So for that reason, this therapy can work better for some people than others, because you need to have an open mind. You need to want to discover the things about yourself, even if they're not always the happy memories. So from the client's side, it's really important for you to be open, to really talk the true things, true feelings. Learn how to trust the therapist, because this is your safe space to talk. And at the same time, again, be prepared that some of the things you might learn in the process will not be happy, but they will certainly help you to understand yourself better. So I wanted also to share with you some of the techniques that can be used in the psychodynamic approach. And so far I've only tried one on myself, and I really like that because I learned something new about myself. And this was the free association. So in our class, we've been split into pairs and asked to do a very quick 10 minutes practice on alphabet free association. So we would tell each other a random letter of the alphabet, and we had to just come up, say the first word that comes to our mind. And what I've noticed that me and the other girl, we both, as we work in similar industries, we both use a lot of phonetic words. So the ones that you use when over the phone you have to spell out your name. So in my case, with my name, I have to do it very often. So I really know that J stands for Juliet, E stands for Echo, K stands for killer, and etc. And I was surprised just how often those words just came to my mind straight away, which made me think that perhaps even when I come to my college class in the evening, I'm not particularly switched off from my work, and it's still somewhere there at the back of my mind. On the other hand, the other student, she came up with lots of words that were associated with the images she saw in the primary school, and she was genuinely surprised that she could make that connection, thinking that it's been such a long time ago, why those are the words that come to my mind first, as opposed to maybe the words that I've used or seen just in the last week or so. So again, it's a very simple exercise to try with your friends, with your family, and once you see some patterns, they can surprise you. And obviously in the psychodynamic approach, they go more into depth in understanding the free associations. And again, it's really important that you say the first thing that comes to your mind, as opposed to try to come up with the best thing to say. Otherwise, it's just useless exercise. Nonetheless, free association is one of the techniques used in psychodynamic approach. They can also use hypnosis, and finally they use the dream analysis. And again, when I've been told about this, I had a bit of a laugh, because in Eastern Europe we like to analyze our dreams. We have those little books that people generally store, and whenever they dream of anything, they later on go to that book and try to understand what the future will bring. But obviously what people are doing here is trying to predict the future. But according to Freud, by analyzing the dreams, we're trying to understand what sort of worries we have right now, and maybe we're also getting a glimpse of some of the past events that are still unresolved in our unconscious mind. So we're more focusing on now and the past. So again, I think that part I would like to go back again to and really learn more about it, about Freud's approach to dream analysis as opposed to the one that I'm more used to. And finally, just wanted to make you aware that even though the psychodynamic approach as it was developed by Freud is not as common nowadays, it's more about using some of the elements of his therapy models in the modern therapy. But nonetheless, it's found to be quite useful for people who are struggling with anxiety, depression, eating disorders, addictions. And it can also help people who have problems with building and maintaining personal relationship, or who feel like they've lost meaning in their life. In all those cases, psychodynamic approach can be applied to an extent. Again, it really depends on the personal needs. For some people, the CBT would be a better approach. For some, the person-centered therapy would be better. Nonetheless, I would say also that the psychodynamic approach, as in Freud's model, is usually considered to be more long-term, because you need time to really learn your client, understand their feelings, their beliefs, what sort of childhood they had, to interpret all that and help them to change their behavior. So it's not really short-term. But again, depending on the person, for some who really want to understand why they're behaving in some way, you can make a decision, actually go and have that specific psychodynamic therapy and really learn about yourself. But it's not something that might be the first type of choice if you go through NHS or want something short term just to resolve some of the present issues. Nonetheless, it's good to be aware that there are different approaches and see which one fits your needs the best. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to like it. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please follow this channel not to miss any future videos. I would also like to say that if you have any ideas about what sort of content you would like me to cover in the future videos, please let me know, because we will be having some holidays in college, especially the summer holidays. So I'm planning to do more self-study. And again, I would be interested to know what sort of topics you would like me to talk about. And I'm always open to new ideas. So please remember to take good care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.